Malcolm DeLeo of GraphIQ. Welcome. It's great to have you here. What do you see regarding the proliferation of data in the OSINT community over the next 12 to 18, 24 months? What are the things that people should be paying attention to now?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's been very interesting getting involved. We're a startup. We've been around about 2 years. And one of the most fascinating things about the market, particularly the OSINT market, is I don't know if people are really thinking about where it's actually going, right? And what I mean by that is, 2 years ago when I would meet with venture capital firms, they would constantly be saying, well, how's it compare to ChatGPT? How's it ChatGPT? And you fast forward 2 years and everyone's agentic AI. They're talking about the models. And one of the problems is if you think about artificial intelligence, it's really models plus data. And so I think where the market needs to get its head around is the idea that, the problem people are facing on the AI side is if you pointed at bad data, you don't have anything. So the real power in the industry is where it's going, which is those who really can build the data sets that are the most valuable will become where things are going over the next 12 to 18 months. We're not there yet. So sometimes, like where we are at GraphIQ, what we've done is we've built what's called a knowledge graph, which is it's the data side of AI. And what we did is we scraped the entire web. We use natural language processing, which is AI that understands the grammar. We understand facts about companies and have figured out how to create entities for those companies so that all the information gets tied to that entity. And because of that, we've been able to build a data set that has 280 million companies and growing. It was at 180 12 months ago. It's got 952 million people, 500 million locations, and a billion news articles up to the hour where all that data is interconnected. You can traverse and look at relationships everywhere. And the power of that is almost like a digital library. Imagine you can say, find all the chicken farms in Nebraska, find that data set, and then point the AI at it to ask it the questions you want. That's where I think people need to be thinking and less about getting the right models, because we've seen that large language models, they're actually starting to commoditize. So.
The market is thinking about the models, but from what I'm gathering and learning here, the customers and the companies like yours are thinking about the data. What's the disconnect, do you think?
I think because AI is like a Wild West. I mean, I saw this before. Earlier in my career, when I got involved in Silicon Valley, I was building the social analytics market. And at that point, everyone's kind of, Twitter, isn't that just a bunch of kids? And you're like, it's so much data, you can learn from it. I think we're seeing the same thing here. The other thing I would say is, part of the reason they're focused on the models, if you think about AI and particularly the models that have been built, for years you've been interacting with it on your phone, right? You would see it suggest words. When ChatGPT came out 24 months ago, it's the first time as an individual consumer that you got to actually interact yourself with the AI, and that was very exciting. And because it's so consumer usable, and I used to work in the consumer packaged goods industry, because the consumer perceivable benefit from the models was so there, I think that's where everyone's put their attention, imagining all the formulations of data. But the reality is we're starting to find garbage in, garbage out. For example, you go on Google and I typed in a sports fact recently, and the answer I get back, every time it's different, and it was always wrong. Because I knew enough about the sports fact that this is not true. So I think that people are fascinated by it because they're still trying to figure out how to formulate that technology, but they have to start to consider the data part of that formulation.
You mentioned agentic AI, and it strikes me, I think it's a fair argument that people are just now, in the government space at least, starting to understand the applications of artificial intelligence. Agentic AI is the latest wrinkle to that. And so is it fair to say there will be a 12 to 18 to 24 month learning curve for people to really get a sense of what it is?
Yeah, for sure. And actually, if you want to kind of put it all together, a simple way to think about it is LLMs are narrow and wide. Agentic AI is shallow and deep. Overlaying all that is the data by which it's pulling from. So agentic AI is really powerful because you could say, point it at some part of the web and say, I want you to extract this information from all the places you find this one thing. And it can do a beautiful job of that, but it's narrow and deep. So yes, there'll be a learning curve. Everybody's trying to figure out how to formulate AI into products and services that are meaningful and differentiated. And it's going to continue. Like I've watched markets build over my career in technology, and it's a constant stream. And as you're getting into that market, you really have to figure out, what's my place? What do I need to use it for? What's the value in it? But the other problem is you have to take chances. You have to be willing to invest in the things that are happening before they happen. Otherwise, you're playing catch up. And so I think that's one of the dangers when you find the shiny object and you're not thinking ahead. You can end up making the wrong choices, and there are kind of no wrong choices if you're willing to experiment. But if you sit on the sidelines, you suffer, and if you go too fast and you don't think a little bit carefully, you also suffer.
Do you think this market will fractionalize the way that other types of markets have in the past too?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know yet. I mean, they always do. If they have, they will. I think that the bigger danger is the commoditization and the aggregation, right? They were throwing money at every LLM company for the past 24 months, and most of them it went very quick. So I think you're seeing an acceleration of that curve. I think as we kind of keep working towards that, those who formulate products well. So example, I didn't say this other thing. I talked about the digital library. I like to think of what we do. It's like the chocolate chip cookie model of AI, right? The knowledge graph's the chocolate, is the cookie. Mm-hmm. The LLMs at this point have become commodities. You put them in places to do certain things, and you can change the flavor, you can change how many chips are in there, you can change the brand, but you still need a cookie to hold the chocolate chip cookie together. Mm-hmm. And that's where the data is going to start to, I think, cement. And then there'll be different knowledge graphs and different data sets, and people will pull different parts. Today, being at this event, I mean, a lot of my conversations have been with some of the vendors, because they're starting to. You can see the hints of I need better data. I need to explore where the data is, and not only the data, not just the data, but how it's connected and processed. It needs to be not just data; it needs to be processed and connected so that you can bring different insights from it, I guess.
That's a really good analogy, I think, because everybody loves chocolate chip cookies, Malcolm.
I do. I know. Yes, I would agree.
Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.